Hey, Scott from MyGrowthRings.com here. Here once again happens to be in my garage shop. And let me a little background story here. A couple of videos ago, I told you that a couple of my grandkids were stomping around upstairs. That's because our adult daughter, her husband, and four kids live with us. And 2 days ago, my daughter and her husband went to see her neurologist. And after spending 2 hours in a room with healthcare professionals, they got a phone call on the way home saying that one of those people had tested positive for COVID-19. And so they immediately went into quarantine away from us. We're all safe. But we are now watching those four grandkids uh, probably for a couple weeks. So I got to kind of cut this short. Hope you understand. So what I was wanting to talk with you about today, and I think we'll the midweek video we'll be able to go into a little more detail, is horizontal boring on the Shopsmith Mark V. And so what I've done is I've cut a few pieces of scrap wood to do some presentation. So what I've done is cut some scrap wood here, and we'll do a little demo of that. And then midweek during our stumped Q&A session, hopefully we'll have time to go into a few more details. All right, but I thought after I cut this that maybe you would want to see me, if you're curious, switching this over to horizontal boring. So let's just do that. Look how rusty that is. We gotta do something about that. Yuck. Oh, I got a stop collar down here from the last thing I did, whatever that was. Stop collars, and I'm not using it. I store it way here at the top. That way I can bring the table on down to its final height. Okay, so a couple things about horizontal boring. Well, I'm going to join these boards edge to edge with some dowels. You don't have to do that. Well jointed, well planed stock, edge to edge or edge to face is a very strong joint. But we use dowels in this situation perhaps to help us align it while we're gluing it all together. We definitely will use dowels when we want to do an end grain joint like this, and we'll do that with a couple other pieces. So to find the center of this, we can either use something like the anchor gauge here, and just rotate that on and mark the center of that V. That's how we did it in a video where I talked about the anchor gauge. Or we can eyeball it to the center and give it a little poke, flip it over, give it another poke, or even drag it along with the brad point bit, scoring a little line. But we would want to adjust that so that we are in the center of those two pokes. So right now that tells me that the table is just a tad high. Lower that down. Lock it in place. Now here's what's interesting. I can take this stock here, line it up, pick my best looking faces, and we're going to say we'll put that face as the front. I'm going to go ahead and make a mark here to remember which sides go together. And we'll just draw a triangle on there. And I'm going to dowel between these 2 points. The distance of that dowel from the table is consistent regardless of how thick my stock is. And so if I want this space to be flush when we're done, That's the side that's going to go down against the table. Now we can do a few more things to ensure this is going to work just right. Let me show you. With everything locked down now, but the drill turned off, if I put pressure against that drill bit, watch the fence, watch the table, I can make both of those move if I force it. So we want to be sure that we support this table as best we can, and I find that by butting it against this side table, the support table, I get the greatest support. So I will take that, got to move that stop collar out of the way. We'll bring that down. It doesn't have to be a precise height because all I want to do is butt those tables together. Additionally, we want to be sure that we have the back of the fence tightened properly. That's done with a wrench. We can do that on either the Mark V 520 as we're showing here or on the 510. So now for drilling, I'm just going to drill a couple holes on here. 3/8 drill bit. My dowels are how long? My dowels are 2 inches long. I'm going to go in at least an inch. So we're going to bury the tip of that brad point because the dowel can't travel all the way to that tip. And then over here, I'm going to set the depth at, let's say, 1.25 inches. I have plenty of material here, so I can do that. And let's drill a couple holes. Now the next trick is how we transfer those positions over to our other piece of wood. And that trick is easily accomplished through the use of something called dowel centers. Now my dowel centers are over in my shop, and so I stopped by Harbor Freight and picked up a really low quality set. I don't like that brad point, so I won't be using it. I don't need a stop collar. Who knows? Those are Chinese dowels. I have no idea how strong they are, but these dowel centers are 3/8 diameter. I would recommend picking up a kit of these that gives you a variety of lengths and has a sharper point. I'll link to some below that are actually pretty good, available on Amazon for like $5. Oh yeah, these are very blunt and they're solid on the back. I like the ones that are hollow because the hollow ones you can stick over a dowel and use that to transfer your marks. That comes in handy when you're doing furniture repair. Anyway, we'll put these dowel centers into these holes. And whoops, you can drop one. This is why you get 4 of them. And I'm going to use my fence to align this so that these edges are properly aligned. I have no idea. No, I didn't cut these to a particular length. But we'll just press those together. And now you can see I've got a mark there, there, and there. Let me highlight that with my pen. So now we'll drill these. Again, we'll bring the fence over so that the stock is overhanging the edge. So while I pry these out, a little word about the speed. You'll notice I'm going pretty aggressively. What I'm looking to do is I want to keep shavings flying out of that hole. because the shavings bring along with it heat that could possibly damage the drill bits. And now let's give this a try. Ooh, those are tight. Oh my goodness, those are too tight. I have a tool in my shop that I drive dowel pins through in order to make them a dead on right size. Anyway, we got a respectable fit there with glue. That's going to be nice and tight. This end is not exactly flush, but that was the flush end. So for an end grain joint, those are going to go together like this. To give myself a rough idea where to position them, I'm just going to go ahead and make a mark here and here. And so the first two, I'll go ahead and drill right here. Now we'll use our dowel centers to transfer those marks onto the end grain of this piece. And we just give them a little press. I guess I should mark which face is the top. Now for end grain, I'll put my miter gauge on backward just so you can see this a little bit better. But for end grain, I am going to use my miter gauge to act as a 90-degree stop. It's going to hold it at 90 degrees. We'll have this overhang the table just slightly. And let's bring the fence up. And I'm just going to hold this by hand and use the miter gauge to hold it square. You could have it the other way and use the pistol grip, but I'm doing this so you can see what's going on. All right. I feel like I'm going to need a hammer for this. There we go. Again, not exactly perfect. I'm going to have to check the alignment on this machine. That's actually one thing I haven't done yet on this table. So, okay, so that revealed some alignment issues with this Mark V, which I guess we need to take care of. But hopefully that answers some questions about how we do horizontal boring on our Shopsmith equipment. Of course, I look forward to seeing your questions, comments, and cheap shots. And in our midweek episode of Stumped Q&A, I'm also going to show you one of my favorite drill bits that you can't have. More on that then. All right, make it a great week. See you then.